Hi guys, I wanted to share a recipe with you today. And the reason this is so important is because in this recipe is a plant that is going to be very important to what we're looking at in our current situation. Um, I have made this recipe using hot water, the plant itself in the bulk form, and I heated it up and I put it in a tea infuser so that I can infuse it for several hours and then transfer it into my mason jar and into my tincture bottle, because I want to be able to have enough to last me at least up to 2 weeks. So in this recipe is a very important herb called Neem, and Neem is actually the alternative to ivermectin. So in studies that I've read, the Neem plant was used as an alternative to ivermectin, and ivermectin is actually built on the, taken from the plant Neem. So, so the way ivermectin is through Neem. But they mostly use that on animals. As you know, there was this big controversy about whether or not we should be taking a horse medicine. Well, a lot of plant medicines are used for humans and animals, so it's not like it's just for horses. The idea of the ivermectin horse medicine was because it was made in a lab specifically at a dosage for the horses. So, if some people are taking this and they're buying it online and they're not watching what the dosages are, they could have some side effects. They could, it could be detrimental. But when used properly, like for an example in the hospitals, if the doctors are using it for their patients, they know not to use that particular type of ivermectin. But in the case that you want to be proactive, and in the case that it may treat as well as ivermectin, you can use Neem. Neem is a very, very beneficial plant. It's used for many things. It will knock out a lot of different parasites. They do use it as an insecticide as well, so it's also used for that. But again, the beauty of plant medicine is that it is very synergistic. It's not going to overdo or underdo based on, what and how you make it. So you can certainly make it very strong, and then in that case, you might have some side effects. The recipe I have today is with Neem, and it also has Pau D Arco, Rosemary, Thyme, Parsley, and Chaparral. So a lot of these herbs that I just named are extremely potent just by themselves. So combining them makes them even more potent. And right now we're dealing with some bacterial resistant issues that they're talking about, whether or not they're actually out there. We don't know, or how people are getting them, but we just want to be prepared, right? So other ways you can make a tincture is you can make a carrier, such as alcohol or just apple cider vinegar by itself. I personally don't like alcohol carriers because a lot of times you can't use it on animals, you can't use it on children, and if you have a condition in your liver or some other issues where you can't have alcohol tinctures are not going to work that well. So I always like to make a tincture that is workable for anyone across the board, or any situation across the board. Yes, it does preserve it longer, and yes, it will make the medicine more absorbable in through your bloodstream. But again, it will still work if you just do it this way. One of the reasons I don't recommend just doing a tea form, of course you can, is because you're going to go through a lot more herbs that way. You're going to have to make a new tea, cup of tea every time. So this way, if you do it and you steep it fairly well, you will have some for a longer period of time. So you'll be able to preserve and have a medicinal tincture, for a longer period of time. So I will put links below on the studies regarding Neem, and then I will also put the herbs that I use down below and some of their benefits that you can get from the herbs. Now keep in mind, when you study herbs, you are going to find that a lot of times online, they're going to talk about the herb, and they're going to say, it helps the digestive tract, or it helps acne, or it helps skin, or, you know, hair, you know, all these types of things. But that's just the tip of the surface when it comes to some of the properties some herbs have. Herbs really have a lot more in depth. So when you do your studies on what is an herb is capable of doing as far as helping your health, you want to dig and really look through studies and look through different information. With that said, some studies do not discuss the true benefits because they don't want to take away from the Western medicine protocols. So keep that in mind too. I also wanted to share with you something I found pretty miraculous, which was I was very curious about Nostradamus as a physician. And I just find him very intriguing because he had the intuition that many doctors didn't have. And this caused him a lot of problems. He was able to come up with a remedy for the plague back in his day, which was rose hips. So rose hips are extremely beneficial as well. And I think it's because of the vitamin C in there. Because we know that vitamin C, even by itself, being intravenous or liposomal, has huge benefits in helping us beat some of these viruses and bacteria. But with Nostradamus, he struggled a lot to be able to work as a physician because some of the other physicians were so intimidated by his abilities that he really struggled with being able to initiate a lot of his gifts, which is really sad. That happens a lot. So yeah, I mean, Nostradamus, just a astounding physician. But anyway, that's the recipe, guys. That's how you can make it. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll run through it one more time. So you take your bulk herbs and you can mix them up any way you'd like. You don't want to make them too much into a powder. You just want to leave them in their bulk form. But if they're huge and they stick together, you can break them up a little bit so that they spread out. And then you just put them in your tea infuser and use the hot water to let them steep to bring out the medicinal flavor in the water. And then when that's steeped to where you want it, you can transfer it in mason jars. Make sure you label them. I didn't label this yet. I just made it. So I will label it. And then, and then you have that. Now I put a little apple cider vinegar in here to preserve it. You don't have to. A couple of weeks in the refrigerator is not going to be a problem, but I just decided that, I wanted to make sure it was fresh and it stayed potent. So I added a little bit of that. And then I also put it in a tincture bottle, so now I can give it, at the dosages that I want. I'll probably use anywhere from 5 to 10 drops first, and then I'll go to 10 to 20. So I just want to make sure that my body doesn't reject it, or, I don't have any side effects. Not side effects, but I want to make sure that I am taking the right dose. So I usually start out a little slower just for me, but that's just because of my body weight too. I'm tinier than the average guy, so I have to watch that. So I hope that this helped. And again, Neem is the alternative to Ivermectin. So you can do that. Now I know earlier on in the COVID situation, I used wormwood, and I did use some Neem. I didn't really know at that time that it was an alternative to Ivermectin because Ivermectin wasn't really talked about earlier on. So I never really looked into that. But as we've moved forward and we see that there is early treatment that can be done, and a lot of it is being used with the hydroxychloroquine or the Ivermectin, we can use that. And I also have the plant alternative to hydroxychloroquine, which I'll get into in another video, which I used originally. And I used that originally because my dog was sick a couple years ago, and they wanted to give him Cipro. And when I looked at what Cipro was, it was actually a form of quinine. And so I didn't want to give him Cipro because I know there's extreme side effects with Cipro. And I looked for an alternative, and that's when I found the plant I found that works with that. So I gave him the one antibiotic that I knew was safe, and then I gave him the plant-based Cipro that was safe. And I also fed him with some nutrition, and he recovered quite well. So again, there are ways to treat your health and be proactive, so you can use these things. They have been effective for me so far. I have treated many things, things that you would normally go to a doctor for, and the plants really helped and fixed it. So yeah, on that note, I just wanted to share this information with you. I do health scans. If you want a health scan, let me know. I do have a way to look at your health and see what's going on, so that you can, get a better idea of what you need to use. I really look at the strengths and weaknesses of where your body's at, and then we look to see what we can strengthen, so that, you're on the right plant medicine, you're on the right diet plan, that kind of thing that helps your body to go in the direction of strengthening it. So guys, on that note, I hope this helped you. And please let me know if you have any questions. I'll leave some links below. Thank you.